Zafigo Malaysia, sayang, dengarkanlah kisahku hari ini. Truth be told, I long to read you like a poem. So if you let me, I will trace the surface of your skin with the tip of my lips. Every line, every stanza, every use of punctuation and the space in between them all will not be left unnoticed. I bet you taste like earth, equally strange and familiar. And I bet you taste of where I came from and where I shall one day return. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sheena Baharudin, and I am a spoken word poet. And the poem that you heard just now, I bet if you have an Instagram account, that's the sort of poems that you would read. It is short, it is concise. But performance poetry is a little bit different. Spoken word poetry or performance poetry, like the one that I've been doing for more than 10 years, is basically storytelling. And I love how Maureen did it just now. She was being very poetic. I love that line when she said, when she was at the top of this mountain and, all of that noise and chaos was happening, she felt like the devil was peeking through. And she talked about how we have our own invisible mountains that we have to climb. Well, that's poetic. And for me, every single time when I come up on the stage, that's like a mountain to me because I have stage fright. But performance poetry is a way for me to share my story. Now, aside from being a poet, a performer, an educator, a facilitator, I am also a traveler. And I love how, for me, poetry is just like traveling. When you read poetry, you're basically traveling inwards as well as outwards. And I would like to think, because all those years of teaching my students poetry, is almost like right now, I feel like I am teaching a class. Especially when it's at 10:40 in the morning, and people are like, what, poetry? But I had to show them that your body is a poem. So I want to share with you the context behind my second piece. So when I was 18 years old, I went to South Africa for the first time. So I was 18, never left the country before that, and I had low self-esteem. And I remember kind of like looking at my body and said, I don't feel like I'm confident with my body. And then I went to a safari. And I saw lions, cheetahs, and jaguars, and suddenly I was inspired to write a poem. So this one is called Apex. Make no mistake, these thighs are thick. And if a gap is what you seek, you'll learn quickly that the only gap that exists is the one that is left in your understanding, for you have clearly missed the point. Born in the wild, these beasts of mine have long earned their stripes in the vast queendom of my body. So this will never be whipped into submission. This will neither be caged nor paraded in zoos and circuses, and this will never be chained by societal ideas of perfection, because this thighs are just too preoccupied licking victory wounds into a constellation of scars, won from those who assume that this husky thews could be turned into trophies hung high in return for bragging rights. Fools who all had to be reminded that no amount of prayer could ever separate an apex predator from its prey once it has set its eyes on you. Thank you. So that was Apex. So I'm born and raised in Malaysia. Like I told you, I never left Malaysia until I was 18. So before that, poetry and literature was basically my means of traveling. And I'm raised in Terengganu. And being adorned by with this beautiful moles on my face did not make it easy. And I was bullied when I was in school. And this poem, and my last poem for today, is a poem that I would like to think of having a conversation with my younger self at that time, if I could kind of like travel back in time, but I couldn't, right? So this one is called Moles, and I hope you enjoy it. By the time I was 10 years old, a considerable number of moles have already made my body and my face their home. I have one on the middle of my forehead, one on the corner of my right eye, one under my bottom lip, one on the left side of my chest, one on my finger, and one on the surface of my soul. The very first one found by my father when I was just 3 months old, and oh, how I dreamt of having these moles falling off me like leaves on a hot, sticky day, but unfortunately, these moles have decided to stay. And no, if I was ever given the freedom to choose, I would have chosen sticks and stones and have let them break my bones, and having those names finding their way from Monday to Friday just to hurt and haunt me. So gradually, I began to find comforts in the outskirts of my imagination. Now you can call it defense mechanism. Like the first time when I saw the face of the beautiful goddess Kuan Yin and the gorgeous green Tara, I knew that this mole is a third eye endowed with divine power. And if I just close my eye long enough, I could actually see glimpses of nirvana. And the other time, when I saw the figurine of the sleeping Buddha, I want to be just like him, so I molded myself into the same position and try to imagine all those sufferings suffered at school as just facets of samsara, because this is how one should embrace their dharma, and this is how one should face their karma. And sometime, Sheena the Muslim would morph into Sheena the Hindu, and I was strut around thinking, this is me with my very own awesome potu, which is a marking only found on the foreheads of feisty deities. It is an ancient marking of an ancient civilization, Eastern and almighty. And I would look at those bullies and knew that just like the mighty goddess Kali, I too could turn them into annihilation, see me scatter them like dust with my rhythmic anger and wrath. But I wouldn't, and I shouldn't. For I am the Trimurti. I have the beginning, the middle, and the ending inside of me. I am Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. I am creator, preserver, and destroyer. I'm divine. Thus I am kind. And even though I could not speak Tamil, it's not like I did not give it a try. But that was a long time ago. And now, who knows? I might just remove these moles earlier than I planned to do so. And when the time comes, I will still write each and every one of them an epitaph for me to engrave on the imaginary tombstone, because this mole is indeed a third eye, allowing me to see you for who you are, my dear. And that this mole always reminds me to see everything with a childlike wonder. And that this mole reminds me to always speak good of others. And that this mole reminds me to forgive people, especially my very own errs. And that this mole gives me poetry when normal speech just would not work. And that this mole on the surface of my soul have brought me into all of those places that I have arrived and departed from. And this soul underneath the surface of my moles have brought me into the arms of all those I have loved wholeheartedly, with all my body, with all my soul, and my considerable number of moles. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.